Hey, welcome everybody. It is episode number 4 of Mature Mondays. I am your lovely host, Kari Anthony, a 20-year veteran in the adult industry. And today I have with me a very special guest, Brittney Sheers. Welcome, Brittney.
Thank you. It's so nice to talk to you in person. We've been following each other on Twitter, so it's lovely to hear your voice live and see you.
Well, thank you. Same. It's always different to actually have like a conversation with someone that you've been talking with online because it puts
Yes,
a little bit of personality to the when you read text messages and like you're interacting with someone via text, it's much different than when you actually speak to them and see them face to face. And then eventually when you meet them, you're like, oh wow. It's a neat.
absolutely. I'm old school in the way that, in the sense that I like phone calls and I don't do text messages because things can be so misread in a text. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The exclamation, the accentuation. So I'm old school that way, which is probably why I enjoy phone sex so much. But I'm sure we'll get.
Gotcha. Same. I'm the same. I'm 48. And so I remember not having a cell phone. I remember busy signals and call waiting.
Yes, yes. And landlines at home, we had to wait your turn to
You had to wait your
call.
turn. Yep.
I saved up so much when the cell phones came out. It was $1,000. It was 1,000 back then, just for
Yep.
I remember a car phone actually. Am I
Yep.
dating myself? It's a car phone, and then texting. There was no texting, or now we can do everything from our phones. But yeah, I'm old school that way. I like to hear someone's voice and really communicate that way.
Yeah. I'm also an empath. So as an empath, I have a better understanding of who I'm dealing with and what I'm dealing with and someone's sincerity when I'm having an actual conversation with them.
Yes.
So, yeah, I definitely like that type of communication better. So, all right. So, Brittney Sheers, is that a play on Britney Spears?
Hmm. I wonder. If someone were to do the CEO, and they would do, if they would type one or two letters differently. Ta-da.
There you
So yeah, it
go.
was just when I first started, I was the worst name ever. I don't know if you want to start at the beginning of Cam or the beginning of my adult work, but I
You can
can tell
start
you how
wherever
the
you want.
beginning. Okay. Well, for your audience that doesn't know me, and I've been in the cam world for 13 years now, but I've been an adult worker. I really don't even like that term. I'm adult entertainer since I was 18, but I've been performing a long time before that. I grew up dancing, you know, and jazz and all kinds of dancing. My parents were performers. So I used to follow them, and instead of a babysitter, my mother would manage my dad. He was a singer. I would go to the shows with them, front and center, because my mom was managing, so she had to be right there. And I remember seeing my first stripper at 9 years old in a nightclub. My mother didn't know that the stripper was performing because they used to have like backup, performers and openings for the show. And I sat there like this, and I looked around the room, and every man was, and every woman was, and I thought, and the costume and everything, it was more of a burlesque type thing. And I thought, that's what I want to do. So that's the path. And I was 18. You had to be 18, but I had a fake ID when I was 12. I was going to my cousins who were older than I was, worked in gay bars. So I would get my fake ID, go to their gay bars, and Grace Jones performing Hello, people like that would perform in this little hole in the wall. I grew up in Massachusetts. And the costumes, the music, the lighting. So I learned a lot from that about presentation and dance. And then I would win a lot of the dance contests, regular dance contests at all the clubs because I was going. 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. So by the time I was 18 legal to work in a strip club, I'd moved to LA. And it was just second nature, just get up on stage and perform. And I was doing it for a very long time. And then, you know, sometimes we were asked to do bachelor parties. You've heard of bachelor parties, the good
Yes.
old bachelor
Good
parties. I don't even know
old
if they still
bachelor
have them.
parties.
Good old bachelor parties in LA, they get pretty wild. So when I was dancing and doing the bachelor parties, which were a lot, they paid a lot back then, and I was doing a lot of bachelor parties, and then the bachelor needed to be taken care of, and I was watching the girls I worked with from the club go off into another room. Hmm, why wasn't I invited to do a private dance? Well, they weren't dancing. So they would come out with, and I went, wait a minute, So bottom line is, they said, we can get a lot of work this way and it's safe and we know the people. And if you want to, start escorting, it's 3 times the amount that you can make in the club. I don't know. But, when I saw the stacks of money, I thought, well, let me just look into this. Can I just come with? Just to come with, just to see. Yes, you can. But long story short about that, I hated every hated every second of it, And my friends knew when you're a stripper and you work in a club. I don't know. Have you ever worked in a club?
No,
In a
I
strip club?
personally have never done the dance. I was a stripper for 3 minutes.
Okay, so you're like me. I was an escort for 3 minutes. So
Mm-hmm.
no one could touch you. Back then they didn't have like lap dance kind of situations, private rooms. Everything was out in the main stage or around the tables. So one on one with someone, and they're touching me, and my friends, I had like I don't know, 20, 30 of us would strip, and then we go off and do the escorting, and they all would laugh because I was like this, trying to touch someone. Like I can't I just couldn't do it. And they would laugh and they said, "You know what? This is not for you. There's so many other things you can do, and you're a sensual person. You know how to move your body. Have you ever thought of getting into massage, sensual massage?" And at the time, Tantra was very big, about
Mm-hmm.
Tantra.
Yes.
So they said, escort, forget it. You're not, this isn't for you. And how about massage? I went to school for massage and then I learned the Tantra. I took training for Tantra. And I thought, well, this is going to be great, Kari, because I'm in control. Someone is coming to me, I'm laying hands on them, and they're learning. They're learning breathing techniques. It's a spiritual practice, raising their energy. But I have to say, after doing it for several years, guys just want to get off. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, and that was, they were polite about it. I had lovely clients who would never push limits or boundaries, but the idea was to harness the energy and then use it like in their careers or in their family life or in their life. They just want to get off. So it evolved into,
Yep. That's all they want to do is get their dick hard and bust it up.
and you could say, well, it's very easy. That's very easy, and it was just to do the sensual massage. But then I was doing it for a few years, and I started to get carpal tunnel, and I couldn't really move my hands as well. I was in so much pain. I thought, I can't, and I was burnt out, because I felt my dominance coming out. I felt like powerful, but this wasn't it. And I was having so many issues with the carpal tunnel. So I went on the good old Craigslist.
Oh
And those are
yeah.
the days, 13 years ago, you could find just about anything on there, and a lot of jobs were posted there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even think they had sexy jobs website back then. I'm not sure. But I looked on the Craigslist kind of in desperation. I knew I wanted to stay an adult, but what could I do? And I saw webcam actress. What's this? Now, I'm a very skeptical person by nature because, I come from the stripping world and I come from the escort world. There's a lot of people that want to rip you off, let's be honest. So I said, I'm going to call this number and it was a physical studio, and I'm going down there and I want to meet everyone and I want to really check this out. Is it legit? Because I couldn't imagine, I had never heard of webcam modeling, and I thought, well, you know, I'm a one-on-one type of person in person. I'm thinking, who's going to pay for that? This is a scam. It has to be. So I drove outside of LA, about an hour outside of LA, and the studio was lovely. It was brand new and it was beautiful. And there was a lady who was running it with another gentleman, and legitimately asking for your ID and telling you what it's all about. There were other girls there to apply. And I thought, okay, I'll give it a chance. I'll give it a shot. So I started with, it was naked.com,
Mm-hmm.
worst studio ever. And they were, I have to say though, they were new at it too. They had bought the studio. They didn't really know what they were doing. So all they told me was, go in that room, we'll turn the webcam on for you and get the guys to tip you and pay for shows. I'm like, how? Just, if you need help. They really didn't know what they were doing. So I was in there. There was a bed, it was made up like a bedroom. There was just a bed with the webcam and such. And I hated it. I was like, what am I doing? There were tons of people talking, and I'm like, why can't I hear what they're saying? Like, I didn't get it that, why can't I hear them? Why are they all shouting at me to take my top off? So I thought, well, I'll dance around. A couple people took me for a private show, and then I was like, oh, they paid for this. That's awesome. But I was like working so hard, and really, I didn't know what I was doing. And all the other rooms, you could click onto the girls' room to see, what your coworkers were doing. I owe so much to this little angel. I can't even remember her name. It was so long ago. She pulled me aside on my break and she said, I've been watching you cam. You are expending so much energy bouncing around the bed because I'm a performer, so stripping to I'm going to keep the audience going. So she said, you don't have to do all that. And she said, why don't you do this from home? She said, I'm a friend of the studio owner. I have children at home. I can't work from home, but you can, right? I said, yeah, live alone. She said, I'm going to help you. So long story short, she showed me which computer to buy. I didn't even have a computer. She told me that there's this website called StreamMate, and they have wonderful clients. She's heard that they're great customers. It's a private base site, yada yada. And she said, I'll go home and get the computer and I'll help you get started. I'll help you even start a Skype and Twitter and all that. Well, the only thing she suggested my name be Busty Milf for you. I have to take a sip of that because if I had known that it was such a goofy name. But I didn't know anything. I hadn't even watched any, I didn't even know about StreamMate or any other cam sites. So I
Right.
chose Busty Milf for you, and it stuck. Now, when I went home and started with StreamMate and quit Naked, I thought, oh, and I was in My Free Camps too, very short time. I didn't like that site. I didn't like that site either. So I found a home in StreamMate. And long story short, when I was on StreamMate, Busty Mill for You, I had my Twitter connected to that. And I didn't really know what to do. And I tell a lot of girls that want to get started, just feel out what your clients ask you to do and see if you're comfortable because they'll tell you what they want, you know. So they
Mm-hmm.
were wanting, stepmom role play, and I don't have skin in that game for anybody that has judgment about stepmom role play. I don't have children. I will never have children. So to me, I was nurturing my clients, a lot of my clients, and I was doing dom work too prior to camming. I was nurturing them, and they would call me mother and mommy, and they would cry, and they had such trauma from their childhood, especially in the Tantra, they were opening up. So for me, calling me stepmom was a very nurturing thing, and I loved it because it really didn't seem that sexual to me, even though obviously it was. But when men are going through trauma like that, let's forget the terms. Let's just know they want someone to accept and be with them. I'd use the word love, but you know what I mean, nurture them and and honor that that's where they are. So stepmom came about on cam, and I didn't have a problem with it. And then it just evolved from there, the role play and everything along with it. And then I decided, well, let me supplement this with phone sex. So I added that, and then added the clip sites and so forth. But now going forward, I see that camming has changed, which a lot of things have, and I'm pushing more toward the phone sex, and I'll tell you why. Well, I'm 13 years older than when I started, but my customers on cam are very young. Because I was the busty milk, they wanted a mother role. They're very young. I mean, 18, 20, 25. And in the strip clubs and in the escort world and even my massage clients, they're over 45,
Right.
55, you know? So when I take phone calls, it just seems that most of my customers on phone are over 40, 50, even 60. And a lot of them don't have the internet, they're old school, so they use the phone. And so that's been really successful for me, and I'm kind of phasing out of cam and going more toward phone because I find I make more money doing it. And obviously, you don't have to, you could do it in the comfort of your home in your bed, in your jammies and so forth.
And you don't have to get
So
dressed. It's
you don't
why
have to get
I
dressed.
it's why I love audio. I love being able to use my voice and not have to worry about if I mean, obviously I shower, but you know what I mean? Like nobody can
Yeah,
smell me. And even though when you get on cam, they can't smell you there either. It just for me, getting
you have
into
to have
cam
something
mode, you want to
on.
feel good, you want to smell good, you want to, because I tell
Mhm.
everybody when you go to Exotica and you're meeting your fans, there are some key elements that you should always keep in mind. And you got to stick to the senses. You want to be visually appealing to your fans. You want to smell good so that their sense of smell is something that they remember. You want to use a voice and speak to them in a way that's inviting and not, like for me, I'm very aggressive. I'm a very ambitious, aggressive person. So I have to remember when I'm talking to fans to be a little bit less aggressive.
Yeah,
And
because they get scared. They get spooked really easily.
well, I realized, early
I,
on in my life that I have a very intimidating personality. I'm just pow, you know what I mean? Like there's not a whole lot of additives. It's just pretty straight for me, and I do speak very aggressively. That's really the best word that I can use. I'm very, loud and like I speak with a purpose. And
well, you know what
so
you want to say. You know what you
I
want to
know
say.
exactly what I want to say, and I'm not going to say anything outside of that. And so like I
Yeah.
tell people all the time, like you have to think about like your voice and how you speak to people. And the other, like, so there's how you smell, how you talk, what you look like, and how you feel. So when like if you're going to be taking photos, you want your skin to be soft. They're going to remember that you were wearing, like lotion, which usually is in conjunction with the smell. And
Yes.
so we tried it out in Chicago. I was like, I want you to think of those things and I want you to remember them. And like one of the girls was like, yo, I made so much money. And I got so many compliments on just how well I smelled. And I was like, all day, put on lip gloss and chapstick and continue to put on lotion and spray yourself.
Yes.
And she was like, it made such a huge difference. She's like, the show that I did in DC, she's like, I had fan interactions, but you could definitely tell. She said she definitely felt a difference. And it was almost like they were addicted. They didn't want to
Yes.
leave. And I'm like,
Yes.
see, in a place like this, it's like you have to think of it as a really upscale neighborhood that has, like 20 yard sales every weekend.
Right.
How is your yard sale going to be different? And I know it's totally like weird
Right.
analogy,
No,
but you have to
no,
think of
you are
yourself as a
absolutely right.
salesperson.
Sales, that's how you have to think. Yeah, and
Right.
you have to bring something different. And in stripping, it's the pheromones and the things that you wear.
Exactly.
You're not only what you're physically, the way you physically look, how you smell. Can I give you a? I don't know if you've ever heard of this. It's something we at the strip club used to do, and I think girls still do it now. It's a little X-rated. Speaking of perfumes and things that you wear.
Do
You know
share.
what
Do
I'm going to
share.
say? I think you know what I'm going to say.
What are you going to say?
Well, a pheromone, you know pheromones.
Yes.
And if your audience doesn't know, it's, a scent, a body scent, a natural body scent that you have that another person is attracted to. And they've done a lot of studies on this too. Anyway, we'll get into that. But how shall I say this politely? Vagina juice, natural juices, has, it's the natural pheromone and it works.
I
So
love how you're like, so like,
I'm trying to be ladylike. So what you're saying is completely, I mean, and men are visual, but yet if they're close to you, they're going to smell you. So, ladies, if you're out doing your grocery shopping and you're looking for a new boyfriend, can I help you squeeze those melons, sir?
mmm.
It works. And I think they do have packaged pheromones. I don't know how well they work because I don't use them, but, pheromones, how you smell. Absolutely. Men pick up on that.
Absolutely. And it's not saying that you smell bad. It's just there's certain scents. Like for me, on men, any man that wears Dracar, that
It's
just
a good one.
I don't care what
That's
he
a
looks
good.
like. I will just sit by him and want to smell.
Yeah, I know what you mean. For me, it was cool water.
Oh, cool water cologne. Yes.
Oh, oh, cool water. Let me just stand next to you. Cool water. So I think there's a lot in with that. Men feel it too, even though they say men's senses they're more visual. But I think they obviously can
I
smell
don't
because
think
I've been
that's
to.
true at
Oh, I
all.
like what you're wearing. What kind? And I'm a vanilla girl. Like I wear vanilla. It's just it just goes with my body. And I
Yeah,
get so many
same.
compliments. And
Vanilla
vanilla
and
is it.
coconut.
Or coconut. And if I try
Yeah.
anything different, if I'm at the department store and you're spring, I never get compliments. But vanilla, anything, I'll always people always are drawn to that. So
For
yeah, there's
sure.
something to be said for that. And you're right. In being home, not having and doing the phone, you don't even. I do take a shower, but you don't even have to think about any of that. The audio, thank you for reminding me about that because I'm now getting into the audios. I have to upload them on my Knife Flirt accounts, but the audios really sell well because men just they love it. They love to hear your voice and
Well, there's
imagine what you're telling them.
exactly. The thing about it is men are very simple. And with an audio, they can close their eyes and listen to the sound of your voice. And
Yes,
then they get to picture whatever it is that they want to picture in that fantasy. So if it's a tall, blonde hair, blue eyed woman, or if it's a tall, bear man, whatever it is that they're envisioning, by you speaking, they get to pick the picture, basically.
yes,
And so that's why audios are so key in, for me, content creation. And then more than that, it also is so much easier. So you have to think about men being very, we think of men as being so brute and, macho, and a lot of them are so simple, so frail,
yeah,
insecure,
yes,
easily intimidated, social anxiety. So you think about when they're visually looking at something, it's easier for them to detach if they're just listening to an audio and
right,
to not feel like there's an interaction. You're not connecting with their eyes. You know what I mean? Like it just,
right.
I've heard a lot of guys say that they love audios because it simplifies their process.
Yes, and they can just let themselves go, and you know, yeah, exactly. I think that hopefully, do you find that it sells through all ages? Young through middle age to older men are into the audio. Do you track that and see who your audience is?
My audience varies because I do a lot of MILF stuff. I have the 18 to 30, but because I'm Dom, I get the 30 to 69. Like
Yes.
it's all
Yeah.
across the board. Like I don't have like one demographic. And
Right.
so when I did hardcore content, then it was more, I had like a younger more less diverse. Let me put it that way. I had a younger, less diverse following, but as I've gotten older and I've really capitalized on me being a MILF and into the whole, like, I also, with the stepmom thing, like, that stuff doesn't bother me. I also know a little bit more into the psyche behind it, and it's really not about the relationship with the mother, but more of the nurturing sense that comes behind
Yeah.
being a motherly figure.
Yeah.
Also, because so it's really interesting that we're talking about this. I had a customer, client, whatever, that explained it to me because I was like, I just want to know what is up with the whole like mom fetish, stepmom fetish. Is it really about the relationship, like ancestral? And he was like, no, it's about the nurturing. It's about an older woman being stable, being in a position of knowing exactly what she wants and being mature. And I was
Yes.
like, I never even thought about that. And he
Right.
was like, it's
Right.
just really about how you see older women and just being in a position, and older women tend to be in their prime. So for men, they have their prime when they're younger. When you get older, for a female, we tend to get into our prime as we get older because we become more secure with ourselves, more
We know
confident
what
in
we
our
want.
bodies. We know what we
Yeah.
want. And for that, it's easier for us to, I guess, engage in more primal
Oh,
activities.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I do ask men because I like to get in their heads. And I ask them, usually in my phone calls, where was it in your life? Like, when did it start? And I obviously would ask that in my tantric clients as well. It all stems back to childhood, whether there was an older babysitter or their mother used to say, oh, getting home from work, a single mom, oh, son, rub my feet, I'm so tired, rub my shoulders, rub my neck. And they're nurturing, but they're having bonding time with their parents. Or a neighbor would, I've had clients tell me that they knew an older woman that would take them under their wing and teach them so that they'd be great lovers as they got older. There's nothing wrong with that. So I see the connection only because I've really delved into it. I just had to know because, obviously when I first started Busting Mill for You,
Right.
and you guys want this, so tell me, what, and as I matured, then it would be, oh, you're maturing. And then as I was gaining weight, because I felt there's a market for everyone, and actually men asked me if I could gain weight, and I thought, sure, I could do that. I don't really hold back. I don't hold back what I eat, what I don't. I have to show you a picture, speaking of that, of my stripper days. Actually was right at the end of my stripper days, and I was going into the massage business. So I had actually a client was taking these pictures. May I show you?
You sure can.
I would love to share with you, Kari, that all of my friends, strippers who then were escorts, told me when I did this shoot that I was too fat.
What?
Right. Los Angeles, obviously you have to be like 80
I'm
pounds,
from
which by the
California.
way,
Trust me, I know.
I was 90 pounds my whole life. Well, does that look fat to you?
No,
So
it looks
I
gorgeous.
knew right at that moment that I needed new friends. I needed new friends. So when I started to gain even from there and do cam, and guys loved it, and they're like, "Oh, I love your hips and I love your thick thighs." And then I started to go into the BBW category and know, wow, can I watch you eat? And I've done several eating videos. Can I eat with you? Can I? So, the acceptance, Kari, is just, it's so empowering to me because I watched what I ate there and I was fat. I went to on a trip with a gentleman I was dating. Walking from the pool and wearing something similar to this, I went to get a drink and came back and he said, "You know what? If you dropped 10 pounds, you'd be pretty hot." On a trip with a boyfriend. And obviously, that was the last time that I was ever with him. So what the hell, Los Angeles? You know what I mean? Not just
It
Los
is.
Angeles. I'm sure a lot of places like that.
It's yeah. It's society. People just I don't know. They just pull it like they. That stuff bothers me. I love myself,
So
and I'm 260 some pounds, and I am eating healthier only because I'm getting older and I don't have like a lot of health problems, but I do have, and I have a rare heart condition that I've had since I was born. So
awesome.
I am eating healthier because I don't want to decrease my lifespan with something that I can easily help. I'm not trying to diet and lose weight
No.
per se or
For health
reach a
reasons.
certain
Yeah.
body.
No.
Like
That's
I'm just, yeah.
so out the window. And I'm so happy that you started your site and that you honor the BBWs and beyond, and that you have the fashion shows and proud. I love this so much. I didn't even know any of this existed when I first started camming. So it's been really a great journey for me because when I'm out running errands or wherever and people coming up to me and hitting on me, I'm prepared for it. Like, yeah, you're right. Okay. Yeah, I'll take that compliment, and I run around, no makeup in here, up in a bun and whatever. I'll take that because, yes, darn it, men do love our bodies just the way they are. Just the way they are. So I honor that on cam. And, the busty mo for you, I actually had a Twitter with, it was growing in leaps and bounds and over 5,000 and counting. But I put a picture on there. I didn't know I was supposed to. Anyway, I got banned last year. So I'm starting over again. And on the cam side, I thought, let me change everything. Forget this busting mill for you. And I contacted the cam companies. And they said, you can use whatever you want. We'll change it. So Brittany was always a name I had used. And then I thought, well, Brittney Sheers sounds good because I'm always wearing something sheer. And it just kind of stuck. And like I said, if you search and one letter's off, you're going to come to me. So it's all good. It's all good. And I love doing, I want to expand because right now, like you said, the audio, that's something I want to do. The phone for sure. I just started. If any of your ladies watching want to look into a site, it's European based. It's kind of new, I think. It's called Dom Line UK. It's in the UK, and the pay is very good. And of course, you set your own hours and such. I just started on there, so if any of your girls do dom work and they want to get into a new phone site, a new thing, and they even have a subsection where you can sell your videos and such. So I'm trying to get away from night flirt. I like to have backups. I'm like a backup plan girl.
You have to. If you've been in this industry for more than 5 minutes, then you know that websites have a lifespan. But I would like to ask you, who has been an inspiration during your career?
Who, as far as in the adult industry
Or
or overall,
anybody?
who has been an inspiration? Oh, I really, I love looking at some of the older, like the 60s and 70s girls because everything they did was kind of ahead of their time. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like with the nudity or showing in bikinis and so forth. So I love Bridget Bardot, and I think she's
Yes.
still alive, right? Do you know who she is from the
Hmm.
60s? I love her. She was such a darling. I've watched a lot of her movies, and I just think she was just, she was fearless. She was smoking the cigarettes, which I used to, not anymore for 100 years now, but, just like this little sex kitten and owned it. Like she owned it and sweet about it. So I thought, I look at her and I think, oh, yeah, I like to be like Bridget Bardot now in the 2000s going forward 2023. You know,
Yeah,
I
she's still
like to,
alive. She's 88 years old.
oh, she's 88.
Yeah,
Yeah, you see, so someone like that.
that is
How
awesome.
about you? Who do you think is an inspiration in your career?
Well, as you can see, I have a little bit of a thing
Just
for
becoming
Marilyn. I
who
love
you
Marilyn Monroe. I think she was highly underrated, and I think she was really smart. I also I just love like a lot of, like you said, like from the older times, because I feel like currently we take advantage of, we definitely have a long way to go as women in terms of
for
being
sure.
able to have more rights, and and we're losing rights as
Yes,
we
yes,
it
as we
feels like we're
speak.
going backwards. But
It really does.
I feel like these ladies, to be in a time where there was a lot less support for women, especially women of color, women of size, women of
Mm-hmm.
um that just were comfortable with their bodies and had no problem showing it. And so to look back on those times and just think, wow, some of those ladies couldn't even vote. And
Right. Right, and you were told, be a secretary or a nurse. There were only a few choices for, for women. I mean, my mother, God rest her soul, told me to marry a rich man. That was her advice. But mom, what if I don't love him? Oh, you learn to. I said, no. But that's what she knew. She grew up way back then when, women were wives first. If they couldn't get married, they had to be, and being married, secretary, nurse. What was the other one? Secretary and nurse. That basically was it.
secretary, nurse, teacher, nanny.
That was it. So I loved her for her advice, but it's just not me. And, I have a dominant personality both in and out
Same.
of the bedroom, right? So, I'm working with that. So, what I draw in are men that appreciate that. But in the traditional 50s role, believe me, I have girlfriends much older than me that are in those roles because their mindset is back then. You know what I mean? Like they were taught by mothers, be a homemaker, always bow to your husband, whatever he says is right. Well, I never went along with that. So I attract men that like my dominance. I make a whole career out of it, a whole business out of it. So, you know, different strokes for different folks, but that's not me. Marriage is not for me, even though I was married, but it's just not my thing. It's not my path. I have a path, you have a path. And that's what we're doing. We're following our path. I tried so many times. I had a lot of Catholic guilt. Hello, everybody. I'm a recovering Catholic. That Catholic
Recovering from
guilt.
religion. That's on the next episode of Mature Mondays on iHeartBBW Radio. We're going to talk about recovering from religion.
Please do. Two Bibles, not just one. Two are holding up my phone. So I'm not a Bible thumper. I'm following changes that are made in the Bible supernaturally, but that's a whole other subject we won't get into. I just feel that, I was very guilty. Oh, well, this can't be all there is in life. I shouldn't be doing this. I should get, now that, jobs are opening up for women, and when I tried those jobs, I was very unhappy. I worked for a dentist and he molested me in the office. I thought, no, I'm not going to do this. I can just get paid if I want to be molested and have a choice about it. You
Right.
know, I had a few other jobs and I always came back. They were short lived. I always came back to sex work. And thank God, sex work, men love me as much as I love them. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's such a great symbiotic working relationship that, I mean, I could be a teacher. I could teach children. They flock to me like nothing else, but it's just not my path. And like you, I'm an empath and I'm extremely introverted. So I just need to be home. Because if
I
I'm out in the
love
world,
being
it's,
home.
oh, isn't it the best?
I
The
went
best
through a
feeling.
phase where I used to be at the club every night of the week, and I just always had to be somewhere
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
something with somebody.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now I'm like a serial canceller. I'm like, it looks good on paper. Like I'll write it down. I'll be like planning outfits. and I'll be ready, but then the day comes and I'm like,
can I just stay home?
I'm just not feeling good. And it's
Oh
really
my
just
God, so bad.
my social battery is empty.
Empty, completely, and like like you said, and I'm invited to a yearly pool party on 4th of July upcoming. And when I was there 2 years ago, I mean, I was like, my vagina never touched ground. I was never home in my early 20s. And, like I said, I started clubbing when I was 12. So I was never home. Where's the party? What do we do? In Los Angeles? Hello?
Right.
There's something to do being in
Every night
showbiz.
of the week.
There's something every night. And I worked in a club. So by 30, I started camming and home, you work from home, you're home already, it's comfortable. So 2 years ago at this 4th of July party, I was sitting around and it was too hot actually to go out to their pool. Like 90 people in their house. And I'm like, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? So I thought, that's enough. That's enough. So I declined it last year and this year. I thought, well, it is what it is. I love being home. I'm not going to apologize for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we make money from being home. It's a win-win as
Right.
far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What actor or actress would you choose to play you in a movie about your life?
Bridget Bardot. Bridget Bardot. But I mean, at 88, right? Not Bridget
Well, if you had
Bardot
to
at
pick
her.
someone that was closer, okay, no, the younger version of you.
The younger version of me. So it wouldn't be Bridget Bardot because she's older now. Oh, that's a good question. Um, Probably because I like her, but we look nothing alike, is Scarlett Johansson. Her sexuality just comes through that screen. Her voice, that little raspy voice she has, you know what I'm talking
Mhm.
about?
Yep.
Scarlett Johansson, because she'd really, she'd sex it up. She'd
She
play,
used to be married to Ryan Reynolds.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I
and I
like
could see
her.
them doing like maybe he could be, the
But they're not
client that
married
falls in love
anymore.
with her. Yeah, I think she would be a good, you know,
I
sex
would have
worker.
Christina Applegate play me.
Oh yeah, Christina Applegate.
I love
Yeah,
her.
I love her too.
Yeah,
She's a
and I
great.
think I think she would encompass the seriousness but the comedy, cuz I can be like super hilarious, and so I think she would be able to encompass the seriousness and the comedy, and then also like the sexual. And she seems like the kind of person that's like real open about life in general, like non-judgmental.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
feel
she
like
does.
that would be me to a T.
She's got a good range too. Like you said, she
Yeah.
could play comedy, be really serious, dramatic. Yeah, I like her too. I could see that. See her playing there.
What's one thing on your bucket list
That I haven't done, right? Bucket
that you
list that I
haven't
haven't.
done?
It's hard because,
You've done a
I've
lot of
done,
things.
oh, it's not even traveling because I traveled. I strip traveled, did strip trips, traveling. I've really done everything. I think what I want to do is I do want to get a bigger place, a bigger house with a huge yard and pool. I have everything, but I want bigger is better. So I want to get a bigger place and no neighbors around. Can I say that on my bucket list?
Yeah,
Because that's
sure.
my goal. Because I love being home so much. I hate having neighbors. I want a sprawl.
That's me too. I want to live close
Mhm.
enough to the city to where I can I can have food delivered. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like I don't want to live
Yeah.
so far that you can't even get like a pizza delivered, but
Yes.
far
Right.
enough out to where I don't have the city. I don't want my neighbors like to be able to see through my windows type thing. Like I don't want like 100 million acres, but because I don't want to be too secluded, but I don't want to be so close that, if I'm yelling, they can hear me, or you know what I mean?
Right.
Like if I have my
You want
TV loud,
space.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've lived in the city almost my entire life. But when I was a kid, my aunt had a ranch in Fresno, California. And
Ah,
so we would go in the summertime and spend time with her and, ride the horses and, deal with the cattle and the sheep and all of the animals, the goats and ducks and everything. And I just absolutely love that. The only difference with hers is her ranch was like out there. It was in the middle of
yeah,
freaking
that's the
nowhere.
problem.
So that
Too
was too
far.
far for me. So
You're
like,
like me, you're a city girl. You have one foot in the city, but you want something where there are no neighbors to hear you, just some space.
I
I
want to
live
go
two
outside and take
blocks.
naked pictures and not have somebody be like,
Yeah, or just, walk out to your mailbox like this, and I have to feel. I moved out of Los Angeles, and I'm not going to give my location, but I live in a very, very conservative, uh, how shall I say it? Very conservative and place. But I'm like 2 blocks from the world, 2 blocks from everything. Everybody delivers. Like you said, everybody delivers. I have great Wi-Fi, great phone, sir. But the neighbors are too close. But the neighbors are watching, and they're always watching. And I don't like it.
always watching.
Do you find that too? Are you having that problem too, where you live?
So, I
Always
live in
watching.
Baltimore now, and I live in what used to be known as BBW Cam House. And so there are cameras all throughout my house.
Yeah.
And originally, when we did this project, it was in a really big mansion out in the suburbs in a really, posh neighborhood. But we quickly had to disassemble because one, homeowners
Neighbor.
association, and two, the neighbors were all in our business. And of course,
Oh.
we would go to the pool, go outside to the pool naked. We'd get a phone call. Oh,
Oh.
and it just was if we had more than two cars in the driveway, it was it ended up being a problem. If we
One of those
played the
damn
music
neighbors.
loud, it was a problem. We had a stripper pole, it was a problem. Everything was a
Oh my
freaking
God.
problem. So,
Oh, I can relate.
um, my
All those
business
damn
partner
neighbors.
got a place here in the city, and I'm gonna be honest, like I was leery about living in the middle of like city stuff, there's drugs, there's prostitution, there's everything over here, crime. But to be honest with
Tell me
you,
about it.
really
I
nobody
live that.
fucks with us.
Yeah, like you can. That's one thing about LA that I miss. The anonymity, whatever. I mean, I had homeless people pissing on my place. I was paying, thousands of dollars, but yet I could walk out. I used to have dogs, and like no one bothered me.
Yep.
Living here, it's been a problem. So that's my bucket list because, and I've had it before. I lived in another place here, which was, it was conservative too, but it was, I had the space, and I thought, I think I'm gonna look into doing that again because then you're more at peace. You can work better. It's a better work life. Instead of like, can they hear me? Okay, did this? It's just I hate it. I hate having neighbors. They've
And
been
people are nosy.
the
You
worst.
wear something sexy and they're like, "Oh, she must be
Look at
tricking out of
her.
her apartment," or it's always
Yeah,
something. That's how it was when I lived in Vegas. Like our
always
neighbors,
something.
oh, and we
It's
just
so interesting. And you didn't have. I mean, you're just minding your business. You're just going about your
I was
life,
just
and they
a
have to
slut,
always.
getting as
Yeah,
much
they think.
tea as I could.
Well, the
They were
thing
like,
that's funny is that there's no one in and no one out. So if my neighbors hear noises, they're probably confused as all get out. Like nobody in, nobody out. You know what I mean? I don't even have friends. I don't have anyone come over. This is my sanctuary, so I don't have anyone.
right.
And they
Oh,
probably
that's
think,
something
what
I've
the
learned.
hell's going on over there?
I
and
know.
I just neighbors, man. I'm so with you. They have to go, or I have to go. It's just one or the other. Yeah.
All right,
So
last
that is
question. Give me two facts and one lie, and I'm going to select which one I think is the lie. Go.
two facts. Two facts and two lies.
No, two facts, one lie, and I got to pick the
Two
lie.
facts and one lie. Okay. Two facts and one lie. So where do you, oh, you don't want me to tell you which is which.
You
You want me to
can't
just say
tell me. I
three?
got to pick it.
I have to say three things.
Yep, say three
Say
things, and one of
three
them has to
things.
be a lie.
One of them has to be a lie. I'm psychic. I'm 40 years old and I drive a Mustang.
See, you're good at this. The lies that you're 40 years old.
Ding, ding, ding. She wins the prize. Yeah.
I feel like you probably are psychic, and you do look like you drive, well, not look like you do, but you seem like you would drive a Mustang. So those are, yeah.
I made it easy. It's off the cuff. If I had time to think about it, I could make that lie whopper. Because that's really what we do. We are entertainers, but we have to, fudge
Fluff the
things a little
truth.
bit. Yeah.
Let me tell you something. This is a conversation I've had over and over again. I do coaching and consultation for, sometimes for new performers, or even sometimes people that have been in the industry for a long time but have gotten stuck on a, regimen that, as things change. And sometimes you just need someone to kind of give you some creative push
Yeah.
or creative coaching. And so I have one that we were talking, and it was just like they were conflicted about having to create a persona that wasn't truthful. And they were like, I feel like I'm lying. And I'm
Ah,
like, let me tell you something. My real life is super boring. This is why the cams are no longer live, because all of the roommates, because I had models staying here for a while, and then that just didn't work out because you end up with everybody else's problems. Like you said, your home is a sanctuary. And we turned the cameras off because of the privacy thing. Like, it just got to a point where I wanted my privacy, but more so, my life was really boring. You really would see me on my computer all day. And people would be
right,
like, are you
right,
going to do anything? And it's like, I'm working.
right,
So,
right,
yeah, I got to fluff it
right.
up. I
Yeah,
got
especially
to.
with homebodies like you and I. Guys ask me that all the time. They say, well, what do they think we're out having sex with strangers 24/7 partying. And yeah, you can think that about me. You can think that about me. I'll role play that with you all day long. But
Right.
you really want to know what I'm going to do? And they say, I want to please you. I'll take you private. What would you like to do? Well, you really want to know. My bed's a few feet away. I've got, a stack in the queue on Netflix. And you're
You're like
rubbing my feet.
me.
Okay. Do you really want to know? So it's all built on a lie, but with truth filtered in.
Truthful aspects. Yeah, for
Yeah.
me, I like to ask them when they, when they're into the role play, I'll be like, "So what do you do for work? What do you do for a living?" And, like one guy, one of my very long time clients, he's like, "I'm a mechanic." He's like, "I work for Jiffy Lube." And I was like, "Okay. I want you to imagine that I walk in and I drop my car off and I'm in the lobby and I'm waiting for my car to be done. And you come in, you need to go to the bathroom, you see me, you look over, and I'm wearing a skirt, but I have no panties on. I'm wearing a t-shirt with no bra, and my nipples are boing. And I like to describe everything because it starts to paint the picture.
Yes.
And I just go into, and I don't do the thing like trying to I'm going to convince you not to make me pay for my oil change, because that's not realistic. People don't
Right.
we don't that doesn't happen. Okay, no one's going to come and do your plumbing, $1,000 plumbing job, and all you got to do is give them some head. It does not work like that. But if
No.
you make it, so I did that, and like, he has been a long-term client. He's now not even a mechanic anymore. He's got another job. And so I will transition the fantasy to accommodate whatever his new job is. And it's like, he loves it so much because he'll go to work and he'll actually like fantasize about it.
Right. Because
And
it's
now he'll call me from work and he'll be like, I'm at my job.
personalized. Like he's thinking about it. It gets him through the day. And I love that, Carrie, because it's so personalized. The person has no choice but to think about it, over and over again. You know, I love that.
Well, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank
And
you.
although we didn't talk about a whole lot of things mature,
Oh,
we did. We talked
hmm,
about some mature things. I think that you are an awesome person to interview. Why don't you tell the listeners and the watchers, the viewers, where they can find you on the awesome internet?
Okay, thank you, Kari, for having me on. I think you're awesome too.
Thank
And I'm
you.
going to guess that you are an Aquarian.
How did you know?
I'm psychic.
You
Okay.
you got
I
me
love
so far.
psychic.
Huh?
I could, if I sat here long enough, which we don't have time, I could probably pinpoint your birth date. Not the year. I don't do the year unless you want me to, but the birthday. So
We'll
I
do it
love
when
it.
we go. We're gonna go off of this and then yeah.
And we'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, as I was mentioning earlier, where you can find me, my Twitter was banned. So I had this old backup. It's not even how you spell my name, but everything's on there where you can find me. It's Buxom, Buxom. Brittany is spelled BrittneyBBW. That's on my Twitter, and then you'll see all of my cam links, phone links, and clip links there. And
Everything.
follow me. I need more followers. This new account, it's slow going, man. I don't know what's going on with that. But follow
Absolutely. You guys make sure you go follow her on Twitter and check her out on her Streammate and Night Flirt and other sites that she has listed. In fact, her bio on Twitter says webcam and phone actress, content creator, fart shows,
Oh yeah.
SPH, joy, Dami, big dick energy, homewrecker, role play, Taurus, streammate, strip chat, night flirt, and pure blood. So make sure you guys go check her out on Twitter and follow her to her awesome sites where she can let you experience some of this role play that she was talking about, or maybe you're submissive and want her to be your dom. But nonetheless, check her out, Brittney Sheers, and make sure you like, follow, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, iHeartBBW.com, and follow us on all of social media. And until next time, we appreciate you checking out. Oh, and make sure you hashtag Mature Mondays and hashtag iHeartBBW. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you're listening to the podcast, thank you for listening and tuning in and subscribing and all the good stuff. See you guys next Monday.